Prince Kassan versus General Granger.
Bombs away, punk! Be advised, this area is under the control of Air Force General Malcolm Granger. Withdraw now, or prepare to be bombed back to the Stone Age. General, you're no match for me. I own the skies. Watch the skies, General. We're gonna put on an air show.
Let's give him an air show.
Want to see it again?
Oh, okay, I will work.
This is actually a nice mission to start off with the Stealth General on, because I have no idea how to play as him, but I do know how to kick the Air Force General's ass.
I will work. Do not hurt
And
me.
while I don't know how to play as the Stealth General, I do know he has quad cannons, and that's really all you need against Air Force.
Does it have
I
to be
could
so
build some
far?
super weapons and use
And I
those
have
on him,
some
but
shoes.
I kind of want
What
to
do you
try a
want
ground
with
assault with the Stealth General so I can learn a couple of things, because I'm pretty sure I have no tanks and no artillery,
That
so
was a lot of work.
that's going to pose some issues when I try to fight Dr.
Yes.
Thrax or anything like
I
that.
can't build there.
Not going to have any long-range options and all. I guess I'll just bitch about that once I get there. Seriously, though, I think I'm going to be spending about 10 or 15 minutes building quad cannons, shooting down
Cannot we live
airplanes,
in
but
peace?
it's
I
kind
will
of
do the
fun.
best I can. I will obey. This
Out
is
of
hard
resources,
work.
General?
I will
You
work.
want to borrow some? Don't worry, General. This is just the quiet
work.
before
What
the
do you want
storm.
with me?
Thinking about it, I'm
Does it have
kind
to
of
be
looking
so
forward to
far?
fighting
Thinking I
Toxin
will
and
work.
Tank General and the ones that are going to give me the most trouble,
Do not
because
hurt me.
I don't know, this should be as hard as the game gets, since I'm really handicapped and that I have no really heavy ground units or anything like that. And anything that obliterates infantry basically makes
I am
half of my
finished
ground
with the
units
building.
worthless, so yeah, there's lots of things to consider here. What I'm really interested to see is how the artificial
I'm
intelligence
hungry.
reacts to the stealth buildings. If they can blow them up, then I'm in a little bit of trouble, but if they can't target anything that's not shooting at them that's, camouflaged, I should be alright. At least I don't think I'll have to worry about things like airstrikes or Aurora bombs nearly as much. Hopefully not anyways. I mean, USA still has a radar scan, but radar scan only covers a certain diameter, so you get a little bit of protection right there. At least hopefully.
This hammer
I
is
could be wrong. They
heavy.
may just bomb anyways. It doesn't matter if the stealth is there or not. I can't really tell you right now. Looking forward to finding out, though, because if I can actually just build Scud Storms and camouflage them, then half of these challenges are pretty much negatable. There's not going to be anything that can really stop me at that point. At least I say that now, but watch me get roadblocked and not be able to finish this one.
There's not better tools.
I'm still waiting for that to come, because I bitch a lot about these missions being easy and shit, and
Cannot we live in
it's
peace?
only a matter of time before I get stuck on one of these and I can't figure a way around it. Ah,
I'm
I
just
hope
a
that doesn't
peasant.
come anytime soon.
This is hard work. I'm hungry.
I kind of doubt that I'll get deadlocked here, though. In case you're unfamiliar with the Air Force General, he only attacks from the air. He doesn't send any Humvees or rocket troopers or anything on the ground, so as long as I build a bunch of quad cannons, maybe some battle buses, stinger sights, all that good stuff, I'm pretty much invincible. Though I'm sure he's going to take out quite a few quad cannons. That won't matter after a certain point, because I'm going to get a lot of experience from all his expensive air units. And that means I'll be able to get cash bounty really quickly. So he can destroy all the quad cannons he wants, but his jets aren't getting out of here alive, and I'm taking all the XP and cash bounty that comes with them.
What do you want with me? If that
He
is
should
what
be
you want,
attacking any
yes.
second now. If I remember right, he sends
That was a lot of
paratroopers, jets, and Comanches.
There's not enough
And I
room for
believe
that
he also
building.
sends some combat Chinooks later on, but I can't quite remember it all. It doesn't really matter anyways. It's all air units, so build anti-air, shoot them all down. You're good to go.
Ready or not, here I come.
Okay, I will work.
Birds away. Let's go hunt some dozers. You don't mind if we drop in, do you, General? Will you look at that? U.S. military spending at its best.
Dropping your paratroopers into the enemy base without any kind of backups, basically the worst way to use paratroopers. They're never going to kill anything like that. unless your opponent has no defenses, in which case they're not going to survive the first attack anyways. Kind of just feeding me XP at this point.
General, you ever seen a raptor up close?
What?
That was a lot
That
of
being
work.
said, paratroopers are actually pretty difficult to use. They're highly situational, and really the only time I use them is out of laziness. Like if I don't want to build the Rangers, I want to go right into building rocket troopers or something like that. Although I guess if you're kind of low on funds, or if you need a bunch of distractionary, units that you can just put anywhere on the map, it can, well, they can be pretty useful, but I don't know. You're going to get a lot more mileage out of the AC-10 or maybe a Spectre gunship or something like that. At least with the Rebel ambush, you can sneak up on stuff and you don't have to announce your presence or just have them shot out of the air by quad cannons. That's pretty fucking brutal, but yeah, the ambush is a lot better, especially his Demolition Journal with the suicide attack. That's some pretty fucking devastating shit. You can just instantly take out an Overlord. Even a power plant or war factory, it's all pretty much dead with the Rebel ambush, at least the Demolition one. The Stealth General, not so much, but he does have camouflaged rebels, so at least they're invisible. Pretty good for capturing stuff, but again, not that good for fighting much. I mean, I like the regular infantry, but they're weak and they're weak against everything else. The only thing that they can kill are the rocket troopers, but that's a job better suited for snipers, radiation, or I don't know. I guess you can make some good use out of paratroopers for fighting infantry, General, but he's going to send all the minigun guys out and inferno cannons and shit. I don't know. I like the infantry, but it's really rare to find a good use for them. If I didn't need the basic infantry to capture buildings, I'd probably never even build them. I mean, maybe once in a while, but it wouldn't be a common thing. Actually, I take that back. I like the flashbangs, and Dr. Atrax's Toxin Troopers are pretty badass. At least for clearing buildings and garrisons, because garrisoning up the buildings with rocket troopers is also pretty effective, but again, it's a limited strategy. Unless you're, China and you're building bunkers and, doing kind of an aggressive build. I don't know. In my opinion, going all infantry or all air or all tanks is kind of a strategy used for like a 3-on-3 kind of match. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself to just having air units or just having infantry, because someone's going to build a sniper or some quad cannons and just ruin your day. In general, it's pretty bad to use a strategy that can be thwarted by one type of unit, which is kind of what has me worried about playing as stealth. Seeing as I have no artillery and no tanks, I'm kind of limited to hijackers if I want any of that shit. I guess that's a viable strategy, but that's going to be pretty fucking rough. Tank General should be an interesting fight.
I'll get there.
This fight, however, is practically done at this point. I have all of my quad cannons. I have Cash Bounty up to level 3, so every time he sends something to blow up my quad cannons, I'll basically get another quad cannon for it. I'd say this is pretty much locked in. Now I just need to focus on building an attack force. The more I think about it, though, the more I'm coming to the conclusion that I should just build a whole shitload of quad cannons, because I don't think he's going to send any real ground units at me. Maybe some infantry, but again, the quad cannons, they work just fine on that. Maybe a toxin tractor, because there is that village. That's probably a good idea. Just one or two of those. I don't need more than a couple. Even two is probably pushing it. I bet I can get it done with one because I can stealth it. That'll be pretty fun. But yeah, other than that, I guess maybe some battle buses. But I don't know. They're not going to be the most useful thing because they're going to take a lot of rocket fire and they're going to blow up and I'm going to lose a bunch of infantry and they're really fucking expensive when it comes down to it. But at least their missile attacks will take down buildings quicker, right? Yeah, that might work.
I will obey. Does it have to be so far?
I've still got a few more minutes to think about it, though. I need to get some black markets up before I start mass producing anything.
I'm hungry.
Not just for the extra cash, but I also really need the AP bullets and junk repair. Any kind of edge I can give my quad cannons is pretty much necessary at this point. If I had some Scorpions or maybe some Marauders, or even a Scud Launcher or something like that, things would work out a little bit better, but pretty much everything I have is low armor and I don't want to say low damage, but it's not high damage. Thankfully, I'm not fighting any tanks, so I'm not going to have to resort to rocket buggies or anything else that's just a little bit too vulnerable for my taste. At least on a map like this to where it's a little bit compacted. I guess you can't really move around or anything. You're kind of stuck going one way or the other. And the planes are just going to catch anyways, and if you're stealthed, well, I guess you'd be alright, but I don't know. I'm not good with the rocket buggies. I'll just say that out loud. No denying that. I'll just have to learn, though, because it's probably one of the better units that I have right now. But I think I can hold off on using stuff like rocket buggies and Jarman Kill right now, because, you know, Jarman Kill's useless against aircraft, and so are the rocket buggies for the most part. And, well, not for the most part entirely. They can't shoot in the air, so yeah, they're not going to be very useful here. Kind of just winding back to that same point to where I just need a bunch of quad cannons, maybe a couple of battle buses, just to be sure. Not a whole bunch of them, but just enough to where if they find anything that they're weak against, they'll be able to, you know, take it out real quick. That's probably a decent idea. And, of course, a Toxin Tractor or two. I can't really think of anything else the Stealth General has that I want right now, except for maybe a Scud Storm, but I'm not going to resort to that on this one. I don't really need a Scud Storm to kick Air Force General's ass. It's kind of sad. He has all these great aircraft, but he just sends them straight at your base without any kind of logical coordinates. I guess, I don't know, he tries to go from the left and right, so that's something, I guess. Thinking about it, that's exactly how some players behave, so it's not the artificial intelligence's fault. It's just the person who programmed him doesn't know how to play the fucking game. That was a bit harsh. I'm just kidding. I don't think the person who programmed this was bad at the game. I think this general's probably programmed to be one of the first people you're supposed to fight. Otherwise, they'd probably have given him all of his general's powers right at the start, and I'm sure he'd have more than one particle cannon as well, because comparatively, he's just not as difficult as the others. I do find it interesting that some of the generals are harder than the other ones. You'd figure it'd be kind of like a Mega Man scenario to where, you know, you pick the weakness and they're all pretty well balanced, but no, Air Force General is significantly less difficult than, say, Toxin General. Well, you know, harder not considering the fact that you may know how to beat them already. That's, I don't know. That's a hard thing to judge sometimes. Because you could arguably say that Toxin is as hard as Air Force, it's just you don't know how to beat Toxin correctly, which is true, but I just don't follow that, because, you know, Air Force doesn't have a particle cannon or any kind of super weapon that I know of. Unless you build one, maybe he builds a particle cannon. I've never seen it, mainly because I never have to use a particle cannon or any kind of other super weapon on him. So that's a tough one. Tell me what you think in the comments. Who's the hardest general to fight and who's the easiest? You know, take all the weaknesses out of the equation. Which ones are the overall most difficult to fight? Because I'm kind of interested to see what people say, because I've heard some people say tank is really easy, and I kind of struggle with them sometimes. I haven't heard anybody say that Air Force is hard, though, so I think we're all in agreement there, but maybe I'm just looking at it from the perspective of someone who knows how to exploit Air Force General's weaknesses. So let me know in the comments which ones are the most difficult and which ones are just pushovers.
Our land must be preserved for the enemy.
I think the reason that fighting Granger seems so easy is because the Super Weapon General has better aircraft. You know, her Aurora Alphas actually destroy your base and no amount of quad cannons will save it. The only way I know how to counter her aircraft is simply to build enough stuff for her to blow up so she doesn't get to your vital infrastructure, which isn't a really good solution when you think about it. But considering that the Aurora Alphas will always get the first shot in and the bombs have that huge blast radius, there's really not much else that you can do that I know of. Yeah, there's another question I have for you. If you know how to counter those fucking Aurora Alphas without getting your base blown up at all, let me know, because I'd be interested to know that. Maybe I'm missing something really obvious, or maybe I'll have an easier time with Stealth General. That could be a possibility. That'd actually be kind of nice.
Be on watch for the enemy. No cost is too great. One path to freedom. Our land must be preserved. The enemy. Okay, over there. Quick, ready
This
yourself.
may actually be enough to take out his base, so just gonna gather as many as I can up and try to GPS scramble them. Yeah, I complain about Stealth General, but that GPS scrambler's pretty fucking awesome. Not as awesome as a demolition ambush, but it's a solid second. not to discount how good a Toxin Rebel
Yes,
ambush can
yes.
be with the Gamma Anthrax, but I prefer the Demolition one. Just because it's quick, instantaneous, and sometimes your opponent doesn't even know what happened to him. It's just poof, some shit's just blown up. Nothing they can do about it. In comparison, I can't really think of too many good uses for the Stealth Rebel ambush. I mean, if you're going to ambush something and try to capture a bunch of buildings, it just warns the general anyways, so it just doesn't seem as useful in my opinion.
Taking over our oil derricks.
Maybe I'd
Rangers,
find
get out
the
there and
stealth
take them
ambush a
back.
little bit more useful if it had something like
Don't push me.
hijackers in it. That'd be pretty awesome. Maybe a little bit overpowered. I don't know. I shouldn't be talking about how to balance the game. I'm not an expert on that. All I know is what's easy and what's hard for me, for the
We
most
must
part.
take what is ours.
Like I said earlier, difficulty in a strategy game can actually be pretty subjective, because there's people who probably beat Ling in one shot. They just saw the mission for what it was, did the appropriate strategy, and won. So for them, the whole fucking game's easy, right? And that's not necessarily true. You know, a lot of people fucking struggle on that, and some people can't even fucking beat it to this day, but yeah, to that one person, it'll still be a fucking easy game.
4 on the floor.
So, it's kind of hard to judge the difficulty on these.
I'll get there. Yes, yes.
Aged to perfection.
Hiding in the village, huh? That's a coward's tactic, General.
We have captured the building. We will not be oppressed.
My tank is full.
This village area should be a breeze. At least I'm sure I could beat this area without losing any
Let's
units.
go for a stroll. We deliver.
For the enemy.
A little fart cloud right here ought to get their attention.
I love to share.
My friend was looking for you at back. Be on watch for the enemy.
Hey, where are you going? You're supposed to be choking to death on my noxious fart cloud.
Nice mess.
Be on
Squad
watch for
cannon.
the enemy.
Oh, I guess if they want to get
Yes,
shot to
yes.
death, I won't judge them for their choice.
General.
But I'll still try to
Don't
spray them
make
down
me
with
come and
toxins
get ya.
anyways.
Well done, General. You have reached the higher rank.
4 on the floor. Going. Don't push me. My own special brew.
Be on watch for the enemy.
I'm getting the feeling that I may have over-prepared a little bit.
Be on watch for
Not
the
that
enemy.
over-preparation's a
The
bad
enemy may be
thing,
here.
but it makes you look less cool when you win, when you just have all the advantage in the world.
I'll get
So I'm just gonna attack right now while the odds aren't completely lopsided.
Be on watch for the enemy.
I'll puncture the next thing that moves.
I can't honestly explain why I just dropped that bio bomb. That's not gonna help me.
Be
Now
on
that I
watch
gotta
for
wait for
the
that
enemy.
shit to clear up, I might as well bring over all the quad cannons. Yeah, I'm kind of flip-flopping here. I need to get my shit together on this mission. Or else it's gonna take like 40 minutes just for me to get into the base.
Be on watch for the enemy.
This should be more than enough to get the job done.
Huh? I'll get there. What?
Be on watch for the enemy.
Still, I may as well toss these battle buses, and they could be more handy than I think.
Okay,
Be
now,
on watch
where are we
for the
going? Hey,
enemy.
hey, be careful with the opposing. You there, come along with us.
What the hell, I'm here. I'll capture that oil derrick while I'm at it.
Don't get on my butt.
Alright, I've wasted quite a bit of time.
I do not have patience.
Probably should have attacked when I said I would, but whatever. It's over. Gonna beat him
Get
now.
out of my airspace, General.
Going. I do not have patience for this. I'll get
They're at the east gate.
push me.
I hate moving hordes through bottlenecks.
Prepare to fight.
The enemy's in our perimeter. All planes return to base. Defend the east side.
Going.
I'll get there. I do not have patience for this. They are brittle.
One is falling.
Punch it.
I have to say, though, it's pretty fucking satisfying using a quad cannon horde. There's really nothing they can't hit. It's real satisfying. I don't have to mix anything up, just nothing but quad cannons. It's not going to work against Tank General, and sure as fuck's not going to work against General Ling, but at least it's working here. All in all, it's a pretty good practice run for Stealth General. I can tell what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I gotta say, not really liking the battle buses here. It's not that they're bad, they just don't seem to take enough damage. They die pretty easily. And then that's a lot of rocket troopers to die that easily. Maybe a little bit more useful against Toxin, but I could have just had them all on foot. The RPG troopers by themselves probably would have survived longer.
They will break and shatter. I'll get there. They are brittle.
Though I gotta say, GLA kinda has a little bit of a disadvantage on this one, because all the jets that you blow up don't leave any scrap, so I can't scrap up my quad cannons or my battle buses. So no matter what, they're gonna have the lowest amount of armor possible. It kinda sucks.
Don't push me. Punch it. Start the machinery.
Actually took on way more losses than I expected here. That's kinda disappointing.
Don't push me. Quad cannon. Don't get on my bad side.
Still surprised he took out so many quad cannons. Better bring in a couple of more just in case.
This is General Granger to aircraft carrier Olympia. Send reinforcements.
Yes,
Repeat.
yes.
Send reinforcements.
Quad cannon. I'll puncture the next thing that
One is falling.
Where the fuck did those fighter jets come from? I destroyed all his fucking airfields.
Don't push me.
Weird.
4 on the floor. Start the machinery. Begin stitching.
Not that much more to say here. Just cleaning up the leftover buildings and waiting for him to surrender.
Going. Don't get on my bad side.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yes, yes.
One is falling.
Don't push me. I'll get there.
We are victorious.
I guess it's time for me to go find a good airline job.
Sorry this match wasn't particularly exciting, but it was good training for Stealth General, so it should be interesting to see how I handle the later levels. I'm pretty sure I know what I need to do for Tank, but Toxin and General Ling, those are gonna be, pretty fucking difficult. Nuke might actually pose some problems too now that I think about it. That should be fun. Anyways, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.